From the NewsTalkSTL studios in St. Louis, it's the Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter. On tonight's episode, proving the moon landing was real with NASA engineer Steve Coester, what it was like at the Trump Inauguration with Michael Mota, and the Right Mind studio band, Mitch Murphy and the Murphy Tones. Now putting the fun in your dysfunctional world, here's your host, Todd Schowalter.
Boy, oh boy, the world is getting back to normal, and well, actually, I like things when they're not normal, but they are back to regular normal with Donald Trump. Are you just experiencing the wealth of sanity that's taking part in the world?
Last
that make sense?
episode we left off, you were invited to dozens, if not threes, of parties.
Party.
Inauguration party central was at your house, and I don't know who else's house. Did you go to Dave Wassinger's house? Did you go to...
Nope.
Who's that one guy, the superhero who flies?
Todd America. I was with, and I took pictures, and I showed them to you, didn't I? I sent you the pictures of me with Todd America to prove that, yes, once and for all, we are two different people, and I got to tell you, this guy, when it comes to parties, this guy is... He's totally boring. I got to tell you, it was just really kind of lame.
Saved this life yesterday, saved this life a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, and people kept saying, obviously you are two different people because he's not nearly as tan as you are, and he's not. So we got that out of the way. But
is he closer to the sun than you usually?
I don't know what it was, but I was like, "Do you want some punch?" He's no. I go, "You want some balloons?" No. I'm just waiting for a cat to get into a tree or something so I can go save it. I was like, "Well, don't you do anything exciting?" No.
How does Todd America get summoned? Does he have a Commissioner Gordon light in the sky? Does he have some sort of vibrating Fitbit?
I would have liked to have known, okay? Because that was going to be one of my topics to talk about today, about a day in the life of Todd America, but it's all pretty boring because he didn't want to talk about anything. He kept looking at his watch, and I said, hey, that's Joe Biden's thing, to look at his watch, and we didn't do anything. And so, no, we did watch Donald Trump get inaugurated, or get sworn in.
What time did that guy wake up? When did he go to bed? He made speeches everywhere he went.
I got to tell you, I was so, and he ripped a major hole in Cam and Joe's, an extra a-hole, if you know what I mean, because they're sitting right there behind him, and Donald Trump, he didn't let anything hold back. And I got to tell you, as soon as I would get excited about one thing he would say, he would go ahead and he'd top it with something else.
Did you know anyone that actually went out to Washington, D.C. and maybe caught a pin from Donald Trump or froze their little nips off and had to go get surgery?
Michael Mota was coming on the show today. He was there. I think he caught a pin. I don't know if he got one in the eye, but I think he did get a pin. I'm not sure.
There was a party you weren't invited to. There's this soda museum down in St. Charles. We had the big employee Christmas party, and because you're an independent contractor, you weren't invited. But the guy who owns the soda museum, this guy's got a real problem. He's collected thousands of just refrigerators. Yeah. I don't know why. But down in Main Street, St. Charles here, he's got this soda museum. We had a big party, and then I turned on the inauguration, and Trump threw the guy a pin.
Get out of
here. He
had
thrown our party that one few days before in St. Charles, Missouri, and then he went all the way to Washington, D.C. to catch a pin from Donald Trump.
Now wait a minute. Let's take
He's going to open up a second museum just for this pin.
Rewind. Okay, now wait a minute. This is a second part. Now, I know that last Thursday there was a big Christmas party that you guys had that I was not invited to.
It was the same party.
Okay, so this is not a different party.
No, same party you weren't invited to.
Okay, so this is the same party, only different times that I wasn't invited to for the same party.
And the guy who owns the location, the soda museum, went to D.C. and caught a pin from Donald Trump. I saw him on the TV because he's got a great head of hair just like you.
Really?
It looks like his mom gave him a Floby haircut when he was four, and he just keeps going, with the vacuum cleaner haircut.
Okay.
And so he's easy to spot. And then I saw him right there on TV, and I paused it, and I rewound it, and I said, oh, my gosh, I know someone who touched a pin that Donald Trump threw him.
Unbelievable. I'm holding this pen here right now. Is it the same thing?
It's basically like that.
The same kind of thing.
You still have Trump merchandise.
That
yard signs. Do you think we can help get rid of those? Are people still flocking to your house to not take a sign?
I got to tell you, a lot of the people in my neighborhood are going through mourning. In fact, yes, they're really quite upset. In fact, a few of them, they're posting things on the old Facebook about how sad that they are that things aren't woke anymore. Have you noticed the lack of wokeness? Do you think people wake up in the morning and say, "Wow, I can't wait for a woke day," and now they're not going to have woke? I think if you don't woke up, then you have a bad day. But, I mean, I haven't noticed any lack of woke quite yet. Have you?
Now, you've been hacked a couple times. Your website, your roof got hacked. So I don't know if this will work out for you.
Okay.
But you should start posting on Facebook just what your Roth IRA and your 401k is up to every day.
I think I should.
Just be like, oh, thank you, Mr. Trump. It's all working out. Here's my password if anyone wants to log in every day.
Well, I have my E-Trade account. They could do that. I could I could give everybody the passwords and the login for that, and they could watch my stocks go up as a result of Donald Trump. And by the way, I think egg prices have already come down.
Oh, my goodness. Like off the roof, just right there, splat.
Right there off of Aldi's. Exactly right. Because did you see that? When I
just thought you were selling egg insurance on the air again. Be careful. Eggs are coming down. Todd can help you with that.
Here they go. No, I think, and Aldi, it used to be a quarter to get your cart. It's only a nickel now.
Oh, my gosh. Now no one's going to return the carts. It's going to be chaos in the parking lot.
Have you ever just left with one? Because I've done that with bowling shoes. Because I've always wanted bowling shoes. I don't know why. I just thought those would be kind of neat. So the one time, the last time I've been to the bowling alley, I didn't even want to bowl. I just gave them some crappy old shoes because you have to, trade them out, and then I left. And so now I have bowling shoes.
Yeah, what happens is when you go to the free stores, we have Schnucks here in St. Louis, they have wheels that just lock up on you when you get to the border of the parking lot.
Get out.
If you go to Aldi, the paid cart, you can just keep walking forever. They don't lock. It only costs a quarter.
Wait a minute. You're saying at Schnucks, now they have some type of device that you can't steal the carts?
Well, it makes them not roll anymore. They can still hold stuff. Like if you want to sleep in it or something, you can. But they don't roll anymore.
Do you know what I saw at Schnucks yesterday? I had to go in to get some meat. Okay, I'm not going
to... And some Valentine's roses, probably.
No, I didn't do that because I wait until the day after Valentine because they're much less. And that's I told you about that little trick earlier. But I saw
much browner too. That's my favorite color.
I like brown.
If your lady likes you and you're tanning, why not get her some brown flowers?
Do you like this blue scarf? I totally got off the Schnook story. Do you like this blue scarf I have on?
We have quite the scarf etiquette around here
because
we do. You say 70 inches or longer is all that'll do. You got to be able to walk off in a huff and throw it over your shoulder and say, "Good day, sir."
And gosh knows, I do walk off in a huff a lot, but I do it for dramatic effect, not because I'm really angry. Yeah, but this is a big 70-incher. Can you tell?
I was thinking that it may be really exciting to get into the scarf merchandise game. Where we could sell them on toddsprod.com or something.
That's right.
And then there could be little pockets in there because they call you pockets on the side. I don't know if you know that because of your fishing lure vest that you wear.
They call me pockets?
Yeah.
Like Hot Pocket?
Ethan, the sales guy, calls you pockets.
Pockets.
Because you have the fishing lure vest you always wear.
No, it's not a fishing lure vest. It's a safari vest.
Okay,
I'm on a big game hunt.
We got to start selling these soccer scarves with pockets in them.
So you want me to be a soccer player, Mr. Williams?
Have your keys in your scarf right there. Throw it over your shoulder and then knock out the lady behind you as it swings around.
That's like my grandfather's song he used to sing me when I was like 8 years old. Do your hang low, do they swing to and fro? Can you tie him in a knot? Can you tie him in a bow? Can you throw him over your shoulder like a European soldier?
What was the word you censored? It seemed like
I just said, do your hang low. I censored myself.
It seemed like it was nuts?
It's not.
What old-timey language did they use back then? Scroats?
I'm just trying to see, what do we have to do to get kicked off the air here? I mean, would that do it? I guess not.
I guess we got to make fun of a sponsor. Speaking of Schnucks.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what.
10 items or less.
$4 tomato I saw. I went in there because I wanted to, and I usually get angry anyway because I think they're overpriced. They're overcharging me on some things, but they had tomatoes. $4, a pound.
Did you see Trump sign that executive order in the arena with this big Sharpie? It said he's bringing prices down immediately, day one. And he said it is okay for you to switch out the stickers on your produce. If you see an organic orange, but you want regular chemical orange, just swap out the stickers. It's okay now. That's legal.
It is.
And if you let half your bananas hang off the scale, executive order, that's fine too. Prices are coming down.
What about buying new cars? Can we just switch out the prices on, say an Audi to a Prius?
I don't know how that works.
I mean, the other way around,
you're an artist, so you could use the big marker that they use to put the price on the window.
Where do they get those giant bows? Because, they always have a giant bow. Where do you buy these? You can't buy them at the dollar store. I know. I checked.
Now, in my mind, I'm thinking that's a Lexus exclusive. Right. Is Lexus the only one that's... I can't talk. I must be dyslexic.
I don't know. I'm all perplexed. I'm flummoxed. I don't know. Guess who we have coming on the show? We're not done talking yet. I'm just going to preface some things because he's waiting in the wings here. But do you remember Rachel Vavra? Remember her?
actually titled her Conspiracy Theorist Rachel Vavra because we wanted people
to do it like this. Do it with me. Vavra.
We wanted people to lean in and say, well, what kind of conspiracies does she have? I want to get angry about something. Well, she didn't believe in the moon landing, and a lot of people got mad about that.
They did, and as a matter of fact, my dad, who I guess he
best moon in the country, I'd say.
He must have listened to the show more than when Rich Rubino was on, or maybe that's when he was on too. But he said, I got a friend that can prove it did actually happen. He's from NASA, and he's going to tell us.
We need to be careful about this because Elon Musk, he's got Trump's ear, and he's actually trying to take us.
Because he had the one that wasn't shot?
That's what happened. He's got it in his museum next to the pin that he caught.
Oh.
But what happened is he said we're going to Mars now.
He did.
And he's got enough money to fake it. He could bring Kubrick back to life.
Stanley Kubrick?
To direct the Mars landing.
Stanley or Bob?
No, Bob Cuban's dead. Stanley Kubrick is also dead. That's how I tell them apart.
So did Bob Cuban direct 2001?
He tried to, but he's a cheater, so he didn't actually get away with it.
Oh, the cheater. Okay. Hey, well, when we do come back, and we're going to be back for a lot more because I got a lot more stories to tell, we've got Steve Coester coming on to tell us how the moon landing was not faked, along with Michael Mota about catching a pen at the inauguration. But we got a lot more stories to tell as well. And Mitch in the background is going to tell us how he's taking swimming lessons.
His pen is mightier than mine.
Look at that pen. That's not a pen. Hey, are you happy to see us, Mitch? When we come back. But in the meantime, I'm Todd Schowalter, along with my bestest buddy, Joey V. This is The Right Mind Show. We'll be right back.
Coming up next on The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter, we go to the moon with Steve Koester. Welcome back to The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter on NewsTalkSTL. And now a man who has never been to space, but has visited the fudge factory in Uranus, Todd Schowalter.
Hey, we're back. I'm Todd Schowalter, along with my buddy Joey V. And on the line now to prove Rachel Vavra wrong, among other things, is Steve Koester, who worked with NASA. He's worked with all kinds of different... I went through your bio, Steve, and you've done a lot of neat stuff. How are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much.
Okay. Are you in Florida by any chance?
We are in Florida. We're just about 13 miles from the Space Center.
Okay, now you're not digging out from the snow, I hope, because, that's the big thing. Everybody's freaking out down there because it's snowing, so I hope you didn't get any snow.
That's a joke. No, we're far enough down. In the 60 years we've been here, we've had snow twice, and it was just enough to go out and say, gee, it's snowing, but it didn't stick on the ground.
That's good. Earlier, I guess a couple of weeks ago, and we had a conspiracy theorist on, Rachel Vavra, who, and again, she said a lot of things that, you can, either agree with or you don't. She brought up the moon landing, okay, and I fully believe the whole story, and I know, I saw it. I remember everything going on, even as a little kid. But there are people out there that say, hey, we never landed on the moon. That was all staged. Now, you as a person who was actually on the inside track of everything, what do you say to people like that think it was just so? I guess it's just because it's such the magnitude of it. But what do you say to people that don't believe, even to this day, that we actually went to the moon?
Yeah. Well, what I say jokingly is, I don't know that we went to the moon, but I know damn well that one moment there was this 365-foot rocket sitting on the launch pad, and the next minute it wasn't there anymore. It went somewhere.
Uh-huh.
So it might as well have gone to the moon.
Sure.
But
okay.
There's and I'm not an expert in project engineering or mission control. That was all Houston. So, you could stage the moon landing. I mean, we made, the Apollo 13 movie that looked just like the real thing. But,
right, yeah.
So you can stage a lot of that. But number one, when they landed, they put out experiments, one of which was a laser reflector. And and so they have all this data that shows them shooting laser reflectors back, lasers up to the moon and back. Of course, so you could stage that too, I guess. So, and in recent years, I forget whether it's 1 year or 10 years at my age, but the Lunar Orbiter reconnaissance deal actually took pictures of the landers on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we actually have photographs from another satellite going around showing the lander on the moon.
Right.
Okay. Could stage that even. But to me, the most convincing thing that says we went to the moon is the Russians. Because we were in a deep Cold War and fighting who was going to get to the moon first. And the Russians were damn near ahead of us before they blew up their rocket. And they would have jumped at the chance to debunk that we went to the moon. And there hadn't been word one out of the Russians saying that we didn't go to the moon. So, no, right. I don't argue with people like that. You know, it's just so obvious. Plus, you have 12 astronauts that either walked or didn't walk on the moon. But how could they keep that quiet for 60 years, 55 years? You have 400,000 of us little people who worked in, you know, everywhere from janitors to the project director, who know we went to the moon. And it's just ridiculous to even say that we didn't go to the moon.
No, and I agree. I mean, again, as you said, there's so many people that were involved that you couldn't do that. And I think it's Buzz Aldrin. I mean, he gets quite hostile when it's even brought up. So I think, thanks for not screaming and hanging up the phone on me. No. Well, one thing I do want to talk about, Emily, again, I mean, you could go back and forth on that all day long. And again, I do truly believe we went to the moon. In fact, I think Apollo 17 was our last one, if I recall right. Why do you think we didn't go back? I mean, why do you think there's been such a delay? I mean, it's been almost 50 years, if not 50 years. Why do you think we haven't gone back to the moon? Do you think we will?
Well, first of all, it stopped. This is kind of a downer, but within weeks of Apollo 11, they started laying people off. Okay, we had achieved our goal. We had landed on the moon. And so from 11 till Apollo 17, which you're right, that was the last one, in 1973, I believe it was, so over a 4-year period, they decimated the workforce, and the morale was actually pretty darn poor toward the end because you knew the end was coming. And so it stopped. And it was a couple of things. Number one, people lost interest in it. You know, you can only watch a guy walking on the moon so much. They had gotten their rocks, they had done everything, had proved that we could do it. I mean, a great technological experiment. You know, you can debate the overall worth of it, but between the lack of the public interest and the expense, they decided they would go on to better things. And that the better thing supposedly was the space shuttle.
Right,
which all started in theory about the same time as the Apollo 11 landing. But why it's taken us so long on this Artemis project, I just don't know. I mean, we did in less than 10 years, we went from Mercury and not even having a man in space, or maybe having Nell Shepard there for suborbital, to going to the moon and landing and returning safely. And it's just why it's taken 20 years for Artemis to get off the ground. We're still not at the moon. I have no idea why we can't do it again. I've been out of it since 1997, and that's probably the reason, is I'm not there, right?
Well, you got an award, and then I understand you fell off the stage and almost stabbed yourself with it, and you did want to die by a safety award, which I thought was kind of funny. Isn't that true?
Well, I think in what I sent you, there was a picture of the award, but it's basically about a 10-inch tall obelisk, like something that come out of Egypt, made out of plexiglass or some kind of resin. And it has a very sharp point on the end of it. Yeah, I fell off the stage, and it went right between my arm and my chest, and didn't pierce me. But if it would have been different, it would have been funny in a macabre kind of way. If killed by safety award. Killed by
safety award. Yeah. Well, that irony is everything. Well, we got about 2 minutes left. I just wanted to ask you. We got Elon Musk. We had other people. We got Jeff Bezos that are doing all the private exploration now, or the launches. I mean, do you think the space is going to be more privatized? I mean, what do you think, just from your history? What do you think the future of space is going to be?
Yeah, I think the future is privatized. They can do it a lot quicker and with less bureaucracy than NASA can do it. I think NASA will manage to always have their finger in the pie. But I seriously have my own doubts whether the Artemis program will will ever get us where it's supposed to go.
Now, explain that really quick. The Artemis program. What is that now? For those.
Well, the Artemis program is the program to launch our next astronauts to the moon, and by the end of the year, they're supposed to send. I don't remember the number. I think 4, but some number of astronauts just on an Apollo 8 type mission, just an orbit around the moon, and then come back, and then in another year or so land on the moon again. But we've only had one Artemis flight, and that was 2 or 3 years ago, and they're still working on the second one.
Sure. So you think privatized is the way to go? You think just because of bureaucracy?
I think so. I am just utterly amazed. All the people I'm 84 years old, or will be shortly, as your dad should be also. Anyway, I'm just utterly amazed by SpaceX and their ability to bring the booster back and land it pinpoint right in the middle.
Sure.
And on a dot out on the barge, or they also return them here to the Space Center, and that's very impressive when they land them here back at the Space Center. That's something we never dreamed of back in my day.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's very exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, there's a lot to still do, and we'll see what happens. I mean, President Trump mentioned going to Mars, which is that's something that is all science fiction almost. So I mean, a lot of stuff is ahead. But your history and everything that you did to help bring us to where we are today is certainly a big part of it. Any last words before we let you go?
Not really. I've enjoyed talking to you, and say hello to your dad for me.
I will do that. I certainly will. He was the one. He got right on the phone with me. He says, you got to call my friend here and prove this other person wrong. But after you sent your stuff, there's so much to your story. I'd love to hear more about it, maybe in person sometime. But in the meantime, you try to, avoid shoveling snow in Florida, okay?
Okay, sure will.
All right, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Well, that's Steve Coester on the line with us. I mean, that's an interesting story. You hear about all the stuff that's going on, and like he said, you have so many people that were involved in a mission like that, along with astronauts and everybody else. It would be kind of hard to keep something like that secret, although he did leave the door open that it could have been done. I don't know. After he has been on, what do you think? Do you think the moon landing was faked or not?
I think it was real, and I'm willing to go up again. If you and I are needed to do puppet shows on the moon or something, we'll go.
I think puppetry on the moon is probably the most overlooked part of space travel to date. I mean, they're doing all these other things. He mentioned like landing rockets on a dot, coming back into the atmosphere and doing all this high scientific stuff. But I think the puppetry arts is something that's really just been overlooked. And I don't think just for the moon. I'm thinking Mars and beyond, and possibly drive-throughs and fast food restaurants.
Our friend there, Mr. Coester, it sounds like he is so in love with what he did that he was willing to get a house next to the Kennedy Space Center. It sounds like these Disney adults that move all the way down to Orlando just so they can see Mickey every night.
Do you know any of these people? I actually do know some of them. And so they're very nice people, okay? I mean, they're very nice. But I personally know people that have done that. They've wanted to live right off the grounds of Disney. Now, how many times can you go? I mean, seriously, we would go. We'd have this pilgrimage as soon as our kids would turn 4. We'd go down there, do it. Okay, big deal. And now to this, until I have grandchildren, which I don't know if they're even working on it at this point, but until I have grandchildren, I have no desire to go back. But as you said, my friend, they have people that actually build houses outside Goofyville.
Have you been to the Kennedy Space Center theme park? It is lame compared to Disney World. There's nobody walking around with giant balls out.
Their balls out. What?
Buzz Aldrin heads.
I thought you said something else.
No, I wish. What is on my mind? The first thing whenever you go to these Kennedy Space Center theme park events, they have a real astronaut.
Now, wait a minute. I've never been. What is a Kennedy Space Center theme park event?
Well, I've been to the Kennedy Space Center, and they have a bit of a theme park to it. There's some rides that you go on.
Hey, everybody, you got to be this tall to get on the rocket.
Yeah, but it's pretty lame compared to actually Disney World. And they do have one event where you get to ask an astronaut questions. And the first question that anyone always asks an astronaut?
Is there puppetry?
How do you poop?
How do you poop?
How do you poop in space?
Really? How do you poop in space?
See, that's why everyone asks astronauts that. It just gets sucked out your Your tubes, I guess.
It gets sucked out of your pooper out in outer space?
And then gets shot out like that alien from the movie Alien.
Oh, my gosh, but it's worse because there's poop coming at you. You know what? We just broke our rule. We said in 25 we were going to talk about poop. So it means that now that we broke it, we can talk about it for the rest of the show.
We need to figure out a way to spice up the Kennedy Space Center. If
baby.
Could have more mascots. Like, remember McDonald's? They had that giant moonhead guy, Mac Tonight.
Who?
The Moon Man guy back in the 80s.
Moon Man?
There was a giant moonhead dude with sunglasses on, kind of looks like you.
Yeah.
And he would sing like Ray Charles, I guess.
Oh,
and,
I do remember that.
And his name was Mac Tonight. And
Mac
that guy should be
Tonight.
walking around signing autographs. And then, there could be pancakes in the shape of the moon also. You know how they have Mickey-shaped food everywhere?
Yeah, I know how you mean.
They could have donuts in the shape of the moon. They could have pancakes, just big round things. Oh, how exciting.
Is that your breakfast sausage? Oh, I see. Oh, now you got me going.
What was your favorite part of taking the kids to Disney World?
My favorite part, probably, all I remember is standing in line because that's what you do.
That's a shame.
You stand in line, then you stand in line even some more, and then you get up there, and then here's the silliest thing. I've told this story before. My son Blake, he was just age bent on meeting the characters who are just a bunch of guys dressed up in suits, okay, or maybe girls dressed up in suits. So if you're kids and believe in Disney characters and Santa Claus is a Disney character. But anyway, and so we waited in line to get his picture taken with us for like hours, okay? And there he gets his picture taken with it. And then was that worth it? No? Okay, and that's it. So I guess, but to answer your question, there is one at Epcot Center. It's called Soarin', okay?
Yes.
So you're like on this thing and you're soaring.
It's like a hang glider type of
situation. It's a hang glider, but it's got a whole sensory
experience. Smells in your face.
It does. It's the smells that makes it so realistic. It's smell-o-vision. So that was probably worth it. And now, anytime I watch anything, like whether it's a movie theater, say there's something about poop in the movie, okay? I make sure that everybody can smell what poop would smell like.
Now, at Epcot, I just remembered, they do have a soda tasting location.
Yeah?
It's called Club Cool, and it's sponsored by Coca-Cola, the same guys who invented Santa and the polar bears.
Right.
And if you remember, if you go into the soda tasting exhibit at Epcot, they have a whole bunch of soda from all over the world.
Really?
But they got one that tastes like ass. And that one's Beverly. I think it's from Argentina or something.
A Beverly ass
So at the
soda.
Kennedy Space Center, what we need to do is we have to have a food tasting exhibit where one's Tang and one's just a bottle of pee that an astronaut just whizzed in a jug.
Whizzed in a jug. That could be the name of it. Whizzed in a jug.
Mm-hmm. One's a yogurt. What do they eat up in space?
I think
ice cream. They got
pudding.
the dehydrated ice cream.
They eat out of tubes or something like that. I wouldn't want to eat out of a tube. Although, I've eaten out of things worse than a tube. I can't go down this road either. This is really going to get me.
Astronaut Go-Gurt. Oh, it's my favorite. It's so creamy.
In the meantime, I'm Todd Schowalter, along with my bestest buddy, Joey V. Mitch in the background, still doing swimming strokes for some reason. This is The Right Mind Show. We'll be right back.
Coming up next on The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter, Michael Mota on what it was like at the Trump inauguration. Welcome back to The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter on NewsTalkSTL. And now a man who hates the cold weather so much that if he were president, he'd sign an executive order to officially move the equator closer to St. Louis. Todd Schowalter.
And we're back. I'm Todd Schowalter along with my buddy Joey V. And on the line now, he's becoming a frequent guest here, Joey. It was Michael Mota. He's not here to talk about Sopranos Con or any of the other stuff he talked about last time. This time, he was actually at Donald Trump's inauguration. Yeah, we were invited to that. Michael, so you were actually there. Tell us what happened. And you obviously didn't get thrown out because you have stories to tell.
Yes. No, we didn't get thrown out. Nice to see you and hear from you again. Glad to be here. I just actually flew in yesterday. So we had tickets from Senator Reid's office here in Rhode Island. I had 6 tickets. This would have been my third presidential inauguration. And the day before we went down, we heard that they were closing the outside and bringing it into the Capitol, which really spun everything out of control. But I said, you know what? I'm going to go anyway. I'm sure I'll figure it out. So we went down there, very cold. And you had hundreds of thousands of people all with the same scenario. I heard something like 250,000 people had tickets from their politicians in their state and had nowhere to go. And the one thing that wasn't perfect to be honest with you, was the coordination of it, which I can understand. I throw large-scale events. I mean, to bring 250,000 people and then only have spots for 20,000 of them, I'm sure with keeping people up at night. So really, the day I got there, I went to the convention center to just ask questions. And when I got there, the Secret Service had closed it, which kind of threw everybody into a little tizzy. So really, the only thing that we had was the internet. You know, we were reading articles, et cetera, et cetera. The day before the inauguration, which would have been the 21st, at 2:30, well, it really was the 20th. Sorry, it was supposed to be the 19th. The inauguration was on the 20th. The morning of the 20th at 2:30 in the morning, we received an email to RSVP for tickets. Now, how they figured out who was going to be able to RSVP, I'm not sure. But at that point, I secured my tickets, and it said for us to attend from 8 o'clock, the doors open, and we had to be in by 9. So that's really the only suggestion that we got. But when we got there had to be 300,000 people in line.
Wow.
It was a complete debacle. No one knew who had a ticket. Nobody knew what to do with the ticket. Unfortunately, the Secret Service and the police, they really didn't know what the hell was going on. I felt safe. We felt safe, so they did a good job with that. But when it came time to who was going to get in, it was a real bad situation. But nonetheless, I got in, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic because what people didn't understand from home is the inauguration, the actual presentation and him swearing in, et cetera, was at the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 2,000 people in the Capitol. As you know, most of your listeners probably know. And it was mostly his family, J.D. Vance's family, senators, congressmen, et cetera, et cetera. Then outside the Capitol, but in the Capitol building, was another group of people. So those, I saw celebrities like Mike Tyson,
Jake Paul was
Conor
there too.
McGregor,
Right.
Jake Paul, Conor McGregor. All those guys were on the second tier, which is in another room. Then the rest, 20,000 of us, me included, we were at the Capitol One building, and we were watching the inauguration. So we got in about 9:30. Most people got in like 11 o'clock. He swore in about 12 o'clock, and we all watched it together. The funny part was every time like some dignitary came in, like President Obama, they got a boo. Biden. So it was fun because you were almost like you were with 19,999 of your friends, and it was wild. They were wild. I mean, these are diehard. I met somebody that waited in line from midnight, never went to sleep just to get in, and this was her 6th rally. So you had some diehard Trump fans. So every time he said something or did something on TV, the crowd just went wild. But it was fun. I mean, it was like everybody like-minded. We saw a lot of celebrities there. Elon Musk came and spoke to us. A bunch of dignitaries came. And then eventually, after the inauguration, we were watching everything on the screen, et cetera, et cetera. I want to say around, I might be off a little bit on the timing, but between like 4 and 5 o'clock, they have speakers coming up and getting the crowd going. It was a rally. It was a real rally. Then we knew he was coming, and I'll tell you a funny story. Rob Schneider, who's in all the Happy Gilmore movies, he's funny. He walked in, and the crowd went wild, and he was like kind of in the VIP box, and it was so quiet you could hear a pin drop because Donald Trump was coming, and he yelled, "You can do it!" And the crowd just went absolutely insane. It was a different vibe, you felt patriotic.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, we all saw Donald Trump go crazy on his speech with Biden and Kamala Harris
I tell you,
foot away.
No, and that's just it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just. I mean, and so you're there live with everything going on, but I mean, Michael, I mean, the entire country. I mean, where I'm at in St. Louis, there's parties going on. There's all over the place. And yeah, that speech, like I tell you, I want to rewind it and listen to it over and over again.
He had no mercy.
Oh, no, I tell you what, I think it was like there's all these things in your mind and all these things you wish you could just say to somebody's face and whatnot, and you can't. And it was like he was like spewing for us. I mean, he was, and a lot of people are like, well, he shouldn't have done that. No, I think he should have done that and more. I mean, I was just. It was like watching a Rocky movie. It was like he's a punch, but I mean, and just to watch that, just to finally get the words in. I mean, it felt so good. I mean, and I hate
picture it. Now picture it. Be in my shoes for a minute. 19,999 other people, and every time he butchered them, they were going crazy.
I can only imagine.
Come home, Daddy. Oh, it was crazy. To be honest with you, I wasn't a foot away, and I was uncomfortable. I can't even imagine. And it's not just Biden. It was Biden. It was Harris, their spouses.
Oh, sure.
You had President Bush, who obviously is not a fan of Trump. You had Clinton, who's not a fan of. You have Hillary Clinton, and then you had Obama. And Trump was just butchering them all. Like, we finally got our country back, you know.
Yeah.
For years. Oh, it was just intense. But so to finish the story, Donald Trump comes in, and then forget it. I mean, the place was berserk. He came in, his whole family sat there, and to be honest with you, when we were there, we didn't really realize that when they canceled the parade, the outside parade, that they were going to do full-blown inside.
Okay.
And he just does. I've been to a lot of events at Mar-a-Lago. This guy is a machine.
Mm-hmm.
He could go and go and go. So when he was coming they had said, be prepared to stay till 4:30. And when he arrived at 4, I said, there's no way we're leaving at 4:30, because his speech there was another hour.
Yeah.
And then you had the parade, and it was an incredible experience.
Oh, I can only imagine. I mean, just to see it live and everything. I mean, it was, again, I talked earlier before the inauguration about, Super Bowls, holidays, all kinds of stuff. It was like everything wrapped into one. And I just never, it was, with all the pardons going on and everything like that, it was almost like the American people had been pardoned from all this insanity. And it was like you'd been like just let free. I mean, and again, he didn't miss a beat. I mean, and I got to tell you, you look at what it's been, 72 hours at this? We're taping here on a Thursday. Look at this, all this already happened. I mean, it's just it's a great time. And I mean, have you ever, from a guy who does events and organizes events, was this one of the biggest ones you've ever experienced?
For sure. Like I said, I've had the privilege of going to his first inauguration, and I actually went to Obama's inauguration as well. I label it as a Super Bowl. I mean, when you go to Washington, D.C., this is their Super Bowl. I mean, they're on the street. There's street vendors. It's just great bands, celebrities. It's just insane. Now, when it's outside, is what I've experienced. Very cool, because you look down the National Mall and there's 1 million people, and you're one of, million. Here, you really felt as if you were millions, but it was more on TV and streaming, and this was a really close knit. I mean, literally at the and I'll send you some photos, some fun photos. When I was looking at, I could see Trump probably about 5 feet from me, and this was just after I swore in. And again, I'm a big fan of Elon Musk, so I got to see him, a bunch of different politicians. But again, this is the time to shine. This is everything to them. So it was to pull that off. To give you a perspective, I did a huge event, Sopranos Con. That was 15,000 people. It took me 9 months and 3 days of craziness. Here you have at least 1 million people you have to deal with in the city, and they lost a lot of money because with it being outside, people are spending a ton of money and staying in hotels. I'm sure a lot of people just decided not to come. I heard a lot of people didn't come. There was still a lot. But again, it was constrained to 20,000. There were a lot of people upset, I have to tell you. Not that it was Donald Trump's fault, because people could have died. The weather was so bad.
Right.
When I walked, and I'm not talking far. When I walked, you could feel your fingertips freezing. So to be out there for 5-6 hours, that's just asinine.
Yeah.
But it's just an experience like no other. I saw a number of about $150 million. There were 3 balls that were inauguration balls that were specifically public. And then there had to be at least 15 to 20 other events happening. And he was late for everything because, again, it was unorthodox. He was at the Capitol. He had to get in, and then he had to have a luncheon. And, again, he doesn't stop. So he doesn't speak for 4 minutes. I mean, Biden, I think he spoke probably about 40 minutes his whole 4 years. Trump, he wants to go an hour every time he does it. And at the rally and parade, he signed executive orders there.
Oh, I know. And he was throwing pens out? Yeah. Were you there when he was throwing the pens out?
Yeah, it was close, but I didn't get one now. And I was close enough to get one. It was just, he's just that guy. He's that, and he's far from an average guy, but he is an average guy. He does things and he says things that the average guy wants to say. Like you said, how many people can have their opponent a foot away? You've now won. He can't go anywhere.
Right.
There's 100 million people watching. They just, could have killed you, right?
Right.
They tried to prosecute. They definitely prosecuted him. If they had something to do with the assassination, I don't know. That's another conversation. But at the end of the day, they really, really beat the shit out of this guy for 4 years. And here he has the ultimate moment where he could either give a speech that every president's given and they'll take some lines out of it and he'll be historic, or he's going to butcher him. And that's exactly what he did. He butchered him. I mean, I never seen anything like it. I'm still talking about it 4 days later. I cannot believe the things that he was saying. It pretty much annihilated Joe Biden's presidential run.
Well, yeah, and again,
I don't think he can recover.
I think the thing that made it so great was he basically was speaking for all of us. I mean,
yeah.
If you and I or anybody else had the opportunity to tell these people what we really thought of them,
yeah.
and we didn't or we don't, and he did it for us. And I thought, although he did a much better job, I think, than I even would have. I'm glad that you, my friend, got a chance to experience everything that you did live there. And hey, I still can't wait for you to come back and tell us about your other stories. But thanks for filling us in about the inauguration, okay?
My pleasure. Thank you so much. God bless America.
You betcha, buddy. Make America great again because, hey, it's getting better every day. All right, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
All
Thanks
right,
for joining us. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Well, Michael Mota, I tell you what, I'm pretty sure that he thought that was a bigger event than Sopranos Con, and he puts Sopranos Con together. So to say that it eclipsed that, I think the only thing better would have been that if Tony Soprano had actually sworn Donald Trump in.
Were you excited enough to maybe thinking about going to Washington, D.C. and bully your way into a building and not having tickets? I mean, could you have been that motivated to do that, or with the wife too?
We talked about Todd America earlier in the show, and I was a little let down at what an introvert he actually is, and that was going to be part of my thing that I thought we could talk about today, is how Todd America got me to Washington at the last second, got me into the entire thing, and maybe possibly even front row, because I don't think Carrie Underwood, okay, it was fine, and I like Carrie Underwood. I don't really like her songs, but she seems like a nice person, and she got a lot of spotlight, especially when the band. Did you hear about the band though? The band didn't work because Mitch knows the band, and they screwed up everything for Carrie Underwood. And is it any surprise that they're friends with Mitch? Huh?
It's a dang shame that she had to sing into a microphone like her entire job is actually that. It really wasn't that big of a deal.
Well, it's just like us. It's like, look at do we have Mitch in the background giving us any music? No, because he's that kind of band leader. Mm-hmm. And I think the same thing with her. She got to basically feel how you and I feel every time we do the show.
The acoustics were just great in the Capitol. We should do this podcast radio show live from the Capitol.
We should. Do you think we could do that next week?
Of course.
Yeah.
At least Jeff City. We know the guy, Tim Jones. He's got some hookups over there.
He does. Well, and I was just there with my wife a couple of weeks ago, and I had a lot of great ideas. I told you about that we should invade Kansas.
I saw you rubbing up on Rush Limbaugh's bald head for good luck.
That was my wife. She did that. I didn't. I said, come on, this is embarrassing. But no, she did that. And then I gave lots of really great ideas to George Huza and Tim. And who else was there? Renee Artman was there. We bonded again, by the way. Renee and I are pretty close now. And Nick Schroer, a bunch of people. My big idea was they're all talking shop, the whole political thing. And, Tim, Tim's trying to, be on his best behavior. And that's when I dropped that nugget that I think that we should invade Kansas. I mean it, because you got the Kansas City Chiefs that may be moving to Kansas because Kansas will build their stadium. And I'm not a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Call me a traitor, I don't care. But when they're going to do that and take those tax dollars away from Missouri, why even fight it? Let's just take over Kansas.
I don't know who we have to fight to keep the Chiefs here, because that tomahawk chop could come and get you.
It could.
I mean, if it's are we fighting the fans? Are we fighting politicians? But we're not letting them leave. Also, I don't care about the NFL, so who cares?
Well, and here's the thing. You know what? I'm just going to say it. Here it is Saturday. The championship game is tomorrow on Sunday. We're pretending that today's Saturday. And I hope the Chiefs lose. Can you believe that? I can't believe it. I hope the Chiefs lose. You know why? Because I think they've turned into some snotty little brats like the New England Patriots. They get too many easy calls. Are you flipping me off, or is that just a time to cut it off?
It was an eye scratch.
You're flipping me off. You're scratching your eye with your middle finger. Does that mean you're a Chiefs fan? No, I just think they've gotten they're too big for their little britches, and they just need a little, settling down time.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking if Todd America wanted to take you to D.C. and fly you over the arena and just drop you off, that wouldn't have worked because there's a roof on it.
Yeah, it would have.
If they held this inauguration at the Arrowhead Stadium, much easier to sneak in. Just drop you right, plop, get right in the middle there.
Yeah, and then I could just give Patrick Mahomes a nasty taunting, and I could say, hey, look, you're getting a little too big for your little britches here, and I hope the Bills win. Do you know the Bills went to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row and lost each time?
Oh my God, that sounds just like us. Like a pretty good show that no one really cares about. Second place is the first to lose.
That's what I tell the kids all the time, and then they're demoralized and they go to therapy. But, a lot of therapists have me to thank.
Well, if the space program has any trouble, we'll just call Todd America.
I think so, and I got to tell you, he better be more extroverted than he was. He was just a little introverted. I don't know what it was, if he had his coffee or not, but I think I've beaten that one to death. Have I not? Did you have a good time today? Oh, wait.
That's the sign.
Wait a minute. I think I see. It's him. Wait a minute. He's in the tree.
Todd
Joey,
America, please take me in your big strong arms.
He's in the tree. He's waving to me the way you just did with your finger.
Jump on his back. We're going to Cape Canaveral.
Oh, yes. I feel so excited. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
What's that digging in Todd America's back? He's kicked us off. Okay.
Oh.
We got too excited. He's flown off without us.
Oh, there you go. It's just like last Monday. And here I am just left with my pen that's not from the inauguration. Well, did you have a good time today?
I had a wonderful time.
Yeah, I did, too. I always have a good time.
When's the next inauguration? Let's do this next week.
I think we can do one what else is going on? Isn't there another election coming up in March? I think for county dog catcher.
Oh, yeah. This is where we get to vote out Tishara Jones.
Tishara.
I mean, she's just going to be replaced by another Democrat. But Kara Spencer, she's got a really short haircut, so I'm into that. But the Snow Patrol was not on duty during the blizzard of 2025, and Tishara just said, I got bad information. Oh, well, B minus.
Yeah.
I give everyone dying and just ramping up these giant ice blocks on the highway into these sound abatement walls and then ending up upside down dead. That's a B minus.
I don't think she really cares. I think she's too busy spending the Rams' money. I'm not really sure if she's doing that, but I don't know. I mean, it's taken them awfully long time to figure out what to do with this dang Rams money when it's quite obvious what they should be doing. They should be sponsoring this show. Okay, but we're not even going to have them do that. Speaking of the mayor,
they need to fix the potholes on this show first before North City gets any of that money.
Yeah, come on. We're county spoiled people here. Alan Jones is coming. Is that his name? I think he's running against Tishara.
That's not his name, but okay.
What is his name?
We'll just call him Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones. Jones. Mr. Jones, yeah. Well, I think he's supposed to be on the show if I don't butcher his name, but maybe he'll tell us more. I think we've beaten this one to death, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
I think so, too. You know what I always say, don't you?
What do you always say?
If you don't have a right mind, you don't have a mind at all. Till next time, that's going to do it for us. I'm Todd Schowalter, along with my bestest buddy, Joey V. This is The Right Mind Show. Until next time, bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter. To find out about all things Todd, go to StudioTodd.com. We will see you next Saturday night at 5 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL, and always streaming online at NewsTalkSTL.com.